ashes, Phoenix talks manifest in the dream. Got a growing channel, YouTube's where the wisdom resides. For all the nest members, no truth can ever hide. She's an under detective on the digital beat, questioning the unthinkable, bringing fire to the heat. With a mind so advanced, highly intelligent and bold, part of the hive mind with birdie stories to unfold. Common sense is a superpower, cutting through the noise, unlocking closed minds, amplifying all our voices.
Phoenix, Phoenix, what do you see? Unlocking knowledge for you and me. The nest is rising strong and true, sharing wisdom, me and you. Clap, clap, clap for the truth we seek. Every answer, week by week.
Whoop. Welcome in on this beautiful Saturday afternoon where I am. Hot, hot, hot. Nice song. Thank you so much. That was Mick Sparky out there pushing the tunes out for us. We greatly appreciate that. Let me grab my glasses, guys, and let's get started. Beautiful, happy August 2nd, 2025, Saturday. Finally made it to Saturday. I hope y'all are doing well. Amanda says hello. We've got a lot of OGs in the house. Welcome in. Come on, you little nesters. Let's get this started. So, the theme that I have today is clearly, Patty, thank you so much. That donation will go to keep that website alive. Hopefully, if you have utilized the website, made it easy for many, drop a 1, because I'll tell you, people are opening their eyes finally to the truth that we've known for a while. Hey, Kentucky in the house, Kansas in the house. See a lot of people dialing in from wherever, running errands, in the car. I had somebody message me the other day, girl, I listened to you and Birdie in the car on the way to home and back from home. So welcome, welcome. I'm going to just pop this up here for the talk of the day. I was inspired by a not nice commenter telling me all kinds of crap in comments. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a show just for what I responded in my comments because it was classic, y'all. I just dropped my glasses. Hold on one second. It was absolutely classic to what my comment was. And I'll read you my comment. Let me read it to you. You guys, you're going to laugh. If you know me, if you leave a stupid comment, you're going to get a stupid video reply or some satire, cheeky video that I make, right? If you're on the TikTok streets. Over here, it's kind of harder to do that, but I'll just respond here. So somebody had commented, oh, he pled guilty and yada, yada, yada. The standard comments that we're seeing everywhere. So I basically told him, I said, well, hold on a minute. Let me get the comment. I said, the evidence came out after sentencing. He's innocent, without a trial, without facing the death penalty. Next, exonerated. And I hit, excuse my French, Mom, if you're listening, excuse my potty mouth. I said, fucking checkmate. Okay? And I thought, what a freaking topic to talk about, y'all. After sentencing, the evidence dropped. So when I said maybe his guilty plea was a strategic route in the justice system, I'm going to tell you, Bryan Kohberger beat the system without a trial, guys. Think about it. He's not an attorney. He doesn't know the law. He knows of the law. He's a criminology PhD student. He knows crime. He knows he didn't commit this crime. Pair that up with an amazing attorney, and you have an amazing story to tell. because we've all seen the evidence. That's why I said it was so important to get the evidence out there. How can I make a difference for people to open their eyes? And you are seeing it all over the internet now that he is factually innocent. They told us in a court of law, and now we're starting to see the ripple effect of truth being shared. This is how fast we could shut down the system. When you have all hands on deck and you have all eyes on the prize, this is what happens. The truth will come out eventually. Now, I don't know if he played a part in all this, and if he did, we don't know. We still don't know that he's not even connected to this factually. But what I do know is what I see. And in those police reports, we're not seeing anything of significance linked to Bryan Christopher Kohberger. He's innocent. No trial, no death penalty. Next stop, exoneration. It is factually checkmate. So what we're diving into could be like the biggest legal scandal in the Idaho 4 case, and maybe the entire justice system. How else could you prove you are innocent without going to trial, without just taking their word for it? How else could you prove it? That's the comment that sparked it all in my little thought brain process here. The comment I made myself stopped me in my own tracks because I saw the evidence. I went through the evidence within 24 to 48 hours. I had, life taking care of other things. And it came out after the sentencing. Immediately, the Moscow Police Department had all that stuff up. They did a press conference. He's innocent without a trial, without facing the death penalty. He took that off the table. He took the power out of their hands. Next, exonerate it. Let's make sure that we're watching, because if this is true, it's not just controversial, it is a catastrophic failure of justice. The plea does not matter. You heard the judge in the sentencing. If you paid attention, he has 42 days to appeal. Now, I'll get into that a little bit, but I'm not going to speak high. I'm no legal professional. I'm just a mom, a grandma, a mom with an autistic son. I mean, I've had my own legal battles. I've had to fight custody of CPS to get my son back in my care when his dad neglected him and I was in a different state. He was on visitation. I had to fight the state of Idaho. I had to fight an accuser of mine in battle in court where they dropped the case. The special prosecutor sealed the case from the repository. You will never find it because they were wrong. It's not highly that you can prove them wrong before going to trial, but I have experience, and I have experience with corrupt Idaho. And this isn't a knock on them. I'm not trying to spread anything. What I am saying is how corrupt the system can be when they have tunnel vision on one suspect and they don't do their due diligence, but we're questioning why they didn't. But what evidence are we talking about? Was there exculpatory evidence revealed after sentencing? Did you guys see any exculpatory evidence? Exculpatory is basically evidence that can prove the person is innocent beyond a shadow of a doubt without having to go to trial. Is there exculpatory evidence here? Did the prosecution or defense sit on DNA disclosures? Well, we see in the repository, you can go right to the Idaho website and ask 24 times for more discovery, more discovery. Now, we can't see what that is because it's sealed at this time, but you could look at the dates, and the dates of the evidence on the Moscow Police Department records kind of coincide, guys, until they started pushing back more. Then when they say all the police officers that were subpoenaed in the evidence, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. Now, were there anything in the public record that was submitted at trial? We don't know because there was never a trial. So is there anything in the public record that is important now that could be shown as evidence after sentencing? Because if you have new evidence, it has to be new evidence, not evidence that was presented before trial, since there wasn't trial. And Anne gave all the information on the 4 perpetrators. Judge Hippler kept saying, I need more proof. I need more proof. You have to meet the burden of the law in IRE, which is the Idaho Rules of Evidence. You have to meet a certain statute, a certain baseline. And could some of this evidence now relate to the fingernail DNA, unidentified males, or missing timelines? Could be. There's more to the story. There's more to the story. I think something allegedly happened when that front door was opened. There was more to it. Are there new forensic details like unmatched DNA? Well, we knew that at the timeline. We knew that during the timeline of court, if you were watching along, we knew that there were 4 unidentified, 3 males and 1 female. And then we're staring down, I'm constitutional wise, we're staring down at the 6th Amendment violation and a possible Brady violation, which Hippler denied the hearing on the Brady violation. Yeah, I'm watching the chat, guys. I just got a text. I'm watching the chat, but I'm letting you guys talk. I'll get to the chat in a minute because we never knew that Bethany knew regarding the sound of light. Absolutely in her bedroom door. Absolutely. We can look at all the individual evidence of the police department and their reports. And if you are not utilizing what I have available for you, I did this for a reason, and the hive and the nesters that have come over here have made it so easy for us by donating $2, $3, $5, les donation, $25, $50, whatever. It helps every single one of you in the nesters that has donated for the purpose of helping this case, knowing and believing this guy, Bryan Kohberger, is innocent. And that website went active the other day. I told you that I would do the website and I would share publicly the police departments. Birdie put it in a simple format for us to share, and it was done. Receipts will come. If you have not seen this, let me take this banner off. If you have not seen this document, you can easily search the document, guys. You can go see the evidence for yourselves. You can share it with people and say, hey, go look at the evidence. Amanda, thank you, baby. That helps. This will keep the website up and going for everyone to see this evidence. And if you are not aware how to get there, let me just show you. You go right to the website that's live. I'll share this screen with you. And hopefully you can see this website. It's Justice for All, FOUR, is the link. But I put Justice for All. I kind of used a play on words. But you can actually see, write down, advocate, sign up for the newsletter. The state of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. I said there's so much to digest in this case of the Idaho 4. So take your time, look at the documents, watch the hearings, read court documents, and learn all there is to know about this high-profile case. We hope you enjoy our site and take a moment to drop us a line, donate, or support our mission. If you go down, I put 2 links for the YouTube and the TikTok, where I'm making most of my content right now until he is exonerated on the Kohberger case, because I'm not really calling it the Idaho 4 case. They're calling it the Idaho 4 case. There's a couple of videos that I'll add to this. There's a couple more hearings that I want to add. There's a couple more things that I will add, articles too. I'm going to make a whole gallery section of it. But if you hit this button right here, Moscow PDF reports, it will take you to the download. So if I hit it, it's going to download and pop up, and you can absolutely download it from here at the top right hand corner, download, or you can do a simple search and find. Very easy. When I say this is easy, I've made it so easy for you guys to share. Yep, I'll drop it in the chat right now. It is www.justice4 spelled out all.com. There you go. Justiceforall.com. So it's in the chat. So when you go through these documents, you can see the actual evidence. So, I mean, we can do an interactive right here. If you are watching on your TV or tablet or whatever, you know, you can go and you can look up these things. All you have to do is hit search and then find, and you can type in the name Bethany, or you can type, well, because they use initials, you'll have to look for simple things like flashlight, right? So if you go, and I'll just do it as an example, if you go and search flashlight, let me add it to my screen real quick. Okay, so if I go and I search find flash, it's going to go and it's going to pull up the report with flash, anything that has flash in it. So she described the sound as a firecracker and a flash. Bethany said she initially thought the sound was a prank. So she saw and she heard. How could she hear that from the second floor? How could she hear that from the second floor? They had to have been on the first floor, or she had to have been on the second floor. Okay? I'm giving you the whole cookie, guys. I'm giving you the whole cookie. There's no breadcrumbs here, okay? There's no crumbs. So, one thing that always piqued my interest is not just the flash, but time and date. If I go welfare, let me see if it'll pull up. Hold on. This one might not pull up. Let me do check. Perimeter check, check, check. Check out. And yes, Kohberger used his debit card to pay for his groceries and things. Even during this whole time, the media was wrong. He wasn't going on like a hiatus and only using cash. I don't know where they got that from. I have no idea. So I want to go up to the beginning of this page because I found something very interesting. And I might have to go all the way up to the evidence page. Yes, there is an evidence log. And so let me go all the way up and get out of this narrative because there's something I've always questioned. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole right away, but there's always, let me go and hit page 1. There's always something I question to the timeline, and I've already asked for these documents, and let's see if Moscow Police Department will answer these documents, because I want to give you guys facts and evidence. So here it is. Now, in order to understand the progress of this case, there are 4 missing cases referenced in this document. Okay? 4 missing cases that they're not telling us. And that's how I know that there's something covered up. So I don't know how big you can see this, but in the middle of this screen right here, there are 4 cases listed that are related to this individual case. And the first one I want you to look at is the date. Now, it's not going to make sense to you. I'm going to explain it. First 2 initials are LW. And then the next cell in this document is 22M07793. And then it gives a date, 7/12/23. Well, that's not in order. Okay? So the first one that you want to look at is LW, and then it says 21. That means the year 2021, there was a burglary report, and it says that it was related. It looks like they followed up on 6/21/23. So this whole case was related to a burglary. And then you look at the dates and look at the document numbers for the 22s. That means 2022. The significance to this is that you want to start with the date of 11/21/22. And that is case number 22M10155. Okay? So on that date, it says there was a welfare check. It doesn't say who the welfare check was for. It just says welfare check, related incident. But when I look at that document, I see there was another document in 2022, another police report, and that was for threatening. So the first thing that came was a burglary, and then the next thing that came was a threatening, and then you see a welfare check. So there's 4 other cases that are inside of this case that were related. So you have a burglary, you have somebody calling in maybe a threatening, who knows what it is, and then you have somebody that sends out a welfare check. And then it says accident, non-injury report. And then there's a police report with that. So there's 4 reports within all of this that are related that are missing, and that will tell the rest of the story. So hopefully you guys will utilize this evidence to be able to see what is really going on. Because when it comes to Bryan Kohberger, there's no trial, no death penalty. So what even happened? Well, we need those to tell the rest of the story. Was the plea deal ever an option at any point? Well, maybe. We don't know. Because we never got to the trial. We never got to the factual evidence. We never got to see because everything was so secret and sealed. Why do you guys think, and this is to kind of get an idea of the pulse of the chat, why do you think Kohberger didn't want to face a jury trial? If the prosecution kept saying, oh, the evidence is so strong, which we see that it's not now, because like I told you and I shared before, you guys, in this document, right here in the middle where it says witness, they have one witness that worked at the University of Idaho. There's another connection on the university. And basically they say, yeah, I saw the door open for a whole hour while walking his dog. That's it. That's the witness they had to say the door was open. Jazz, thank you so much, honey. That'll go to helping keep the website up. Thank you so much. I found the button. You got it. So what do you think their witness that we saw? I mean, if you go down to the evidence, we can go ahead and say, I can find it by search find door. I can search the door and it says, okay, it'll go with the interviewer Molly McDaniel for the DoorDash. We know that. it'll go and talk about the narrative right here of the door with a W. I mean, you can find every single document that says door, okay? And you can go and see all this. Now, an interesting find that I found was that there were 2 storage units in a certain area that they went and got a warrant for because of Bryan Kohberger, and they found no storage units in his name, but they found storage units in 2 of the mysterious people that lived in Washington and were connected to the big drug takedown. 2 storage units. Kind of wild, huh? But you can go through this whole fantastic document. You can share it, you can scan it, you can go through all this. Now, you're not going to know a lot of the initials of these people, but that's okay. All you have to do, and I can kind of put a guideline. I don't want to out anybody because some of these documents are redacted for privacy reasons. But if you've been following this case for a little while, you'll know. And if they've been mentioned in the documentary that's been put out or the book, and that's the reason why I watched all the documentaries. That's the reason I bought the book, because now you have initials of people that were possibly involved. So, that's an example of how to search through this document. Okay, hopefully that helps a lot of people understand what we're talking about, and we're not just spewing nonsense. These are facts. So, why do you think he didn't face the jury? Because the evidence was so strong? We know it's not now. We know it's not now. Could this be a strategic retreat by the state to offer him the plea deal? That's what I was thinking all along. But if the prosecutors knew their case wouldn't hold up in court, they may have opted for behind the scenes win, life in prison, no public trial, no scrutiny. But guess what? The silence may have cost them everything, because Kohberger pleaded guilty. The flood of evidence was released, and now we're all like, wait a minute. What are we seeing? This guy is actually innocent, like they have been saying for 2.7 years. And then the best part is that we come up to ask the question, could Kohberger actually be exonerated? Well, obviously my first, thought came across, how would they do this legally? How would they pave the path to get him exoneration? What about appeals? Judge Hippler did state, for the record, he could appeal. He's got 42 days. The countdown was on back then. It's still going. I called Ann Taylor's office. They said they could not help with the appeal process. And the reason I believe this is, in my humble opinion, is basically if he claims ineffective counsel, it can't come from Ann's office. But if he hires new attorneys, they can file an appeal, ineffective counsel, and then all the new discovered evidence. Could federal intervention or a wrongful conviction movement take over? I think we're seeing it now. Everyone in the nest, everyone in the hive, people on social media are now seeing this and questioning the narrative. Megyn Kelly came on. Trump questioned it. It's rare, but it's not impossible, guys. I shared the Innocent Project the other day. There is an actual petition to investigate perpetrators that were named in these documents. There are petitions out there to reinvestigate certain individuals named in these documents with questionable possible guilt. Now, It is rare, like I said, but it's not impossible. And if this avalanche of doubt keeps building, we might see Kohberger walk free. I don't know if it's going to be months or years later, but he'll be vindicated by the evidence that never saw the light of day in court. He took the plea deal to take the death penalty off the table. The evidence has come out. It's very clear. So remember, guys, when you think about why now, this case was sealed. It was fast-tracked. We talked about it being scripted, but the truth doesn't stay buried forever. If the comment that I made was right, the evidence surfaced after sentencing. They're not watching justice. We're actually watching a cover up unravel in real time. You guys, like I said, have been watching this in real time, step by step, with me and Birdie. If you came from the OG days on TikTok, you came to us here on YouTube, and it has been amazing. Is this checkmate? Maybe, but in this game of the courses of the justice game, it's not over. I'm going to ask you a question, chat. Do you believe that Bryan Kohberger was railroaded without a trial? Yes or no? Do you believe that Kohberger was railroaded without a trial? See a lot of yeses. Here's a really good question for you guys. What do you think the prosecutors were hiding? What do you think the prosecutors were hiding? SJ, right there. He was railroaded for being arrested. Hiding students. They're hiding who really did it. I was shocked to see Miss Potts in there after I listened for a bit. It was a Guilters channel. I was disappointed. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that too because people can't. I mean, it's not good to be double-minded. It's not. Either you're in it or you're not. Their own misconduct. Ellie involved. Yeah, they're hiding a lot. Threatened to take the deal. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are now opening their eyes to see the truth. It's enlightening for sure, but at the same time, it's scary to know that the corruption exists, guys. Do you think this case should be reopened? Do you think somebody should be investigating this? Yeah, there are a lot of drama in the channels. I'm just trying to avoid a lot. Had to make a whole new account. Yeah, I get it. Yep, yep. So, I emailed, yeah, I sent a whole document into the DOJ. Absolutely. With the USB drive and everything of all the evidence. I think this case should be looked at. It should be, if anything, looked at and investigated and reopened. Covering up parallel investigations, probably, but at what cost to the American citizens? I mean, think about all these people that have not been able to sleep thinking about this case nonstop. It's psychological warfare, guys. I don't watch Jay Embry. Somebody sent me a video to watch the other day. I still haven't watched it. Big question. Since Ann Taylor cannot represent him again, who would step up to take this case? I've talked to 3 attorneys that are willing to take this case. We're trying to coordinate opening up a trust for this purpose of having somebody represent him in this process. Who benefits the truth if it stays buried? I mean, what if he's really innocent? We kind of see that from the evidence. The entire justice system in Idaho needs to be under consent decree by the DOJ. Probably. They're asking for less government, and they're going to get more. Hudson Lindo was found between Railroad and College Avenue. So many past cover-ups. He had a run-in with Ellie. Yep, it is. Yeah, it's sad what happened to Hudson Lindo. MPD lost a load of evidence, chain of custody on 3 separate occasions. Yep. I'm seeing a lot of this come out. Damn it, Phoenix, you just took the words right out of my mouth. It is. We have to be able to put our trust back into our law enforcement. We have to put in our trust. I mean, simple things were ignored and overlooked. Even if you look at the evidence files, nobody ever followed up. I mean, I know they're busy, but damn. If they've got that much crime, no. There's why only his pictures are public and not the crime scene ones. Yeah, those are all sealed. If he doesn't appeal a file, well, it's not over. He has the option within 42 days of sentencing to file an appeal. He has that right. We have constitutional rights. It doesn't mean it's all over, because the next thing they could do is file a post-conviction relief. Amanda B., you are rocking, girl. Thank you so much. He's got some legal options. He definitely does. Do you think this case is over? Is he just going to sit and rot in jail? I mean, if you go back, and they're going to have to start digging through all their cases. If you watched Steve Goncalves Jr.'s video, he was making a point that the court did not want him to share in the public realm with over 15,000 people watching on the live stream, many other people sharing the live stream. Let me see if I can find that video, because I want you guys to listen to what he says. Steve Goncalves Jr. Let's see if I can find it real quick. He's on the outstep. Here he is. He's on the steps of the courthouse.
Today's the end of a long, hard-fought battle. But we have our person, and we have him where he belongs. So for that, we are thankful for all the men and women that put the work together, put this case together, and once it's part of the court system, it was a little ugly, but we got that conviction, and we're glad to be moving on. Glad we can move on.
Steve, the family or the judge talked about how we may never know why, and it may not be worth it to try to answer the why for something so sensitive. You can't make sense of it. What do you feel about that?
There's some truth to that, but then, there's also the fact that, I mean, what would he tell as a lie as to opposed to the truth? So
The knife, if he gave the knife up, or if he gave a part of his kill kit, if he gave out facts that only the killer would know,
it would corroborate things.
It would corroborate things, and he even addressed there's been way too many conspiracies. And
If he could give facts on what he knows, maybe he doesn't know. I mean, I don't think they got their person. I mean, even Steve questions it, and he's been fighting it since the whole beginning. He's believed law enforcement because we're supposed to trust.
Surviving witnesses had to go through hell. Well, no better way to protect them than by getting some of those details. If you got those details, then, you know, as simple as just saying I did it solo would have been, you know, valuable, I think. And you know, we stand by the negotiation wasn't justice. It was just a shortcut, and we said from the very beginning we're not interested in a shortcut for our daughter. You know, and we wanted everything.
Steve, you turned the podium at one point. Talk to us about why you wanted to stare at him face to face.
Because he's a coward. He's been protected by the court from day one, the minute that he was arrested. So I wanted to let him know that I was directing everything towards him, and you know, his days of being protected are coming to an end. You know, from what I've been explained, he gets on a van today, and he's got like 12-minute ride, and then he'll be the responsibility of Idaho State.
Were you planning on turning the podium though, or did you do that in the moment?
You know, I remember reading it saying "do not move," so I was like, well, I'm moving this. I just kind of made that decision right then and there. So, you know, I want to make it as difficult as possible. I knew my daughter was going to do a speech, and I'd heard it, and I was like, he's going to hate this. He's going to hate this next set of people that are going to come forward and really rip into him and really expose him for what kind of a piece of trash he was. And we've been waiting a long time to say some of those things that needed to be said.
Stephen Jr., you chose not to speak. Speak now, is there anything to say?
I bring up the statement. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is where you do.
Okay. Well, allow me a second.
Maybe it wasn't court appropriate.
Yeah, definitely wasn't. Yeah, my name's Steven Gonzalez. I'm Kaylee's older brother. She was my little sister, my friend, the middle child in the heart of our family. There are no words that can fully describe her spirit, but if you knew her, you knew joy, you knew light, you knew someone who made everything better just by being in the room. My statement was largely grounded in one goal, and that was to do everything for anyone who listens to this and has to go through something similar to not have to endure what we had. My family's fought tirelessly, not just for answers, but for accountability. We've stood in front of cameras, behind closed doors, and across from people who didn't want us to speak, but we did, and we won't stop now. Across nearly every murder case prosecuted by Bill Thompson, including the killing of University of Idaho football player Eric McMillan, there is a clear and troubling pattern. Families are left feeling unheard, justice is negotiated down through plea deals, and the public is left with unanswered questions. In the McMillan case, charges were reduced from first-degree to second-degree murder, prompting confusion and outrage from the victim's family and community. The same pattern is emerged in the Silas Parks and John Lee cases, both of which prosecuted by Bill Thompson, where capital-eligible crimes were resolved through plea agreements, sidestepping trials and diminishing public accountability. The most egregious of these crimes was the brutal killing of Whitney Parks, a young pregnant woman whose life was taken by her husband, Silas Parks, during a violent domestic assault. Whitney was only 22 years old. Whitney was beaten and strangled in her own home, an act of cruelty that not only ended her life, but also the life of her unborn child. And yet, despite the devastating nature of this crime, Bill Thompson reduced the charges from murder to voluntary manslaughter, ultimately securing a sentence that allowed Parks the possibility of parole after just 5 years. There was no trial, no full accounting of what Whitney endured, no acknowledgement in the legal eye of the child she was carrying. For Whitney's family, for anyone who believes that justice system should speak forcefully for victims, this wasn't justice. It was a deal, and it was like so many others under Thompson's watch. It prioritized expedience over accountability. Now, almost predictably, we find ourselves reliving that pattern in the current case. Despite the magnitude and brutality of the crime, the prosecution chose to accept a plea deal behind closed doors, without trial, without ever consulting our family in any meaningful way. In fact, we learned from the plea deal that had been finalized from an email from the prosecution team. Not in person, not with warning, not with respect. That moment underscored what we feared all along, and that this case was following the same well-worn path toward expedience over justice. Sentencing once again fails to reflect the severity of the act, and the emotional fallout has landed again on the shoulders of the victims' families, who have been left out, unheard, and grieving not just a horrific loss, but a system that continues to bypass them. The through line is undeniable. Whether it's 2004 or 2025, this prosecutional, is that a word? Sorry. Prosecutional approach has consistently abandoned the very approach it is, or the very people it is supposed to protect. The trend you'll notice from Thompson's prosecuted crimes are the following: plea bargains avoiding capital punishment, charge reductions, sentences that misalign with the gravity of the crime, lack of trial due to plea bargains. These aren't just failures in process, they're failures that have real consequences for real people. After reviewing Bill Thompson's history, it's clear our family was never given a fair chance at justice, but this isn't just about a prosecutor's record. It's about Kaylee. It's about my sister. She's not just one of the Idaho Four. She was a daughter, a sister, a best friend, and the light in every room she walked into. When the prosecution followed the same path we've seen before, closed doors, limited input, and a plea deal handed down without our voice, it became painfully clear that Kaylee was being treated just like another case. But she wasn't. She was everything to us, and our pain has only deepened, knowing that the system didn't fight for her the way she deserved. I'll leave everyone with this. There's 1,000 things I wish I could say to Kaylee, but today I'll just say this. I will always carry her with me for the rest of my life, and I will never stop being her brother.
Steve,
Thank you.
Now that the gag order is lifted, is there anything that you've learned over the last 2.5 years from the investigators or the prosecutors that you can share with us now that you can speak about?
Well, I think it was kind of interesting that once the president sent a truth statement out, they called us right up and they told us everything. So I don't know what was holding them back before, but we spent about 3 hours, close to 3 hours with the lead detectives, and we found because our main thing was we didn't want to have victims advocate statements that had lies and misquotes and misinformation in it. So I appreciate the president, putting a little bit of pressure on there, and it seemed to work. Up until that time, they told us they were not going to tell us, and we were going to have to just wait for the things to be unsealed. But yeah, it was horrific what Kaylee went through. And I don't want to protect this guy, but I won't give out all the details. I'll be general. But yeah, she was stabbed over 30 plus times, and she was struck, and there was quite a bit of damage to her face. The guy's just an absolute. He thinks otherwise pure demons out there. When I was looking at him, we had a stare down, and he's just filled with demons. He's dark pits of eyes, and there's something seriously wrong with that man.
Steve, why was it important for you to look him directly in the eyes? And what did you say as you spoke to him?
I looked him straight in the eyes, and I just seen black holes and just anger at me. He was telling me with his face that he fucking hated me. He absolutely fucking hated me.
And why did you want to speak to him directly that way?
It's the most personal one. Like,
Yeah,
look at me in my eye. You took my daughter's life. Look at me.
Yeah,
Did your family get something today that it needed? What's this?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a little early to actually even answer that for my wish he would have said now.
As the spotlight then fades, what do you want the public to remember?
So there you have it. So you heard Steve Jr.'s statement about the prosecutorial alleged misconduct that they believe, as they have the right to say their free speech. They have the right to say how they feel, especially in the front of the cameras. Now, I think Steve Jr. had a really good point to make, because if this is in fact a cover up, checkmate. Bryan Kohberger beat the system without a trial. And now he has the ability to go back and, one, make an appeal, have new attorneys, or two, face the fact that he needs to find new attorneys and file a PCR. And that is just post-conviction relief. That is saying, Your Honor, there's been evidence that's been withheld. The Moscow Police Department didn't do their job. I am innocent beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt now. Public sentiment has grown. People are asking how they could help. And this is something that we saw very early on while watching the trial. Watching the court hearings, watching the document drops, evaluating them, looking at everything that Anne put forward. The judge stopped her at every single possible stopgap. Justice was not served, because in America, you are innocent until proven guilty, and the bombshell evidence that dropped from the Moscow Police Department shows that Kohberger is innocent. There are other perpetrators still running the streets in Moscow, or Boise, or Nampa, or Caldwell, or Denise, or even in Washington now. I hope that Bryan Kohberger does follow up, files an appeal, or ask for post-conviction relief. I don't, but I'll deep dive today. And what's it called? We Know What You Did. Okay, let's see what your feedback is for the day, guys. Phoenix, do you think he'll file an appeal? I hope so. We're trying to get him some help. We've got 3 attorneys that are interested. Factually innocent. Physically innocent. Does anybody know? I didn't see any DNA. We can write Bryan and send him to the website. Yep, absolutely. Go to the website. There is a link. I need to update it because there was an update that I was given. I forgot to tell you guys. So the other day, I got a Vine message saying that he was moved, and he was moved from a maximum security to a medium security. But then I learned after that video was made and I went live that the medium security has the medical unit. So either he had a medical appointment to go to, something happened, they checked him out, and then they put him back into cell block J in maximum security at IMSI. So he is back in IMSI. I'm going to update that. Somebody told me they feel that they are trying to block him off from public communication. They have him in solitary confinement. I believe it's something that they will continue to do, just like when I went down there to try to visit him, when I went down there to schedule a video conference, when I came back home, tried to schedule more video conferences, send a message that you had to be on an approval list to speak with him, which they are only allowing his family members at this time that I know of. And one of his colleagues and friends had reached out to me. I vetted her very well. She is truthful. She's telling me everything she knows. I validated who she is, and believes that he is factually innocent also. He is innocent. He wouldn't hurt anybody. And like I said in my last couple of lives, if there was anybody who you could talk to on a daily basis that you trust 100%, and that would be my mom. And that is exactly who he said he was talking to. So I already has tablet and TV in his cell. I heard that too. Exactly. One on the handrail. Yes, I already have reached out to his parents and his sister. Yeah, well, this is a really good point. She's just a devil woman. With Bill T being on the Brady list, that makes every case he's touched tainted if he didn't directly address the defense with that fact. That is true. Very factual. Great statement. I know, I feel for people who are innocent. I've seen innocent people take plea deals. I've seen it in court with my own two eyes. It's terrible. It is absolutely rotten. Once you get charges, you are looped into that, and it is very difficult to get out. Very difficult to get any charges dismissed because it makes them look bad. I went to prison in Oregon, not sure if it's same as Idaho, but usually the first 30 days or so, you watch for custody status to see how they're adjusting. Yeah, that's true too. And I've got somebody who used to be a warden in IMSI telling me the same thing. Basically, they have to adjust to their new environment. They won't test any other DNA. I'm so glad that the Idaho State Police went in and took their own evidence out of that house before it was destroyed. Let's hope that ISP is not involved in any alleged corruption, because the refrigerator DNA, I don't know if you guys saw that, and let me just throw it up here. I don't know if you saw this, and this will be kind of like a Q&A before I run. Let me see if I can find this in the document real quick. There were samples that were compromised, perhaps, maybe. They didn't specify if they were compromised because the refrigerator had dropped in temperature. There were, let me grab the supplement, hold on. Samples from the shovel and the temperature. And if you don't know what to look for in this document, it could be really hard to do a search and find for keywords. So, I mean, if you read all the documents and then you'll know what to search for. That's the only thing. I mean, I could put a guide together. How about if I do that? I'll put a guide together so that you guys have an overview, and I'll put it on the website so that you can actually see, and I'll highlight, maybe that's what I'll do next. I'll highlight key documents and put like a little guide together so that you can find them easily. I think that needs to be done. So in this document right here that I'm showing you in the supplement, it's supplement 309, and on 1/3/2025, I'm sorry, 1/30/2025, it is written and it is crossed out. This is the only one that the document's name is crossed out and redacted by the police department, which I found a little strange. Evidence refrigerator 203. On Friday, January 24th, approximately 7:50 a.m., I arrived to the police department to start my shift. When I reached my door, I could hear an electronic beeping noise. I entered. I determined the noise was the alarm sounding from the evidence refrigerator unit. The digital temperature display read 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that doesn't sound too wild, right? I mean, when I do my sourdough, the temperature for rising at a really good rate is anywhere between 72 and 78. It's a little warm. 60's a little warm. The fridge is usually what, 32, somewhere in there. So I don't know, what the rule is for DNA sample refrigerating and all that stuff. But then he says it was 60 degrees. When I left work for the day, Thursday, January 23rd, that's the next day, at 12, there was no alarm sounding. The evidence freezer, which is a separate unit, was not affected. I immediately contacted my supervisor, and they recommended that I transfer the items stored in the refrigerator to a secure outbuilding where other evidence is kept due to the lower temperature outside. And this was obviously in January because that's what it says in the report. So it is typically colder in the winter months in Idaho. I turned off the heating units inside the storage area and opened the large garage door to allow the inside temperature to drop quickly. The outside temperature was freezing that morning. Within 10 minutes, the inside temperature dropped to about 50 degrees, which is the lowest number on the thermostat. All items were transferred by 8 a.m. So the fridge was beeping one day, okay? The evidence freezer was not affected. Told the supervisor that morning, and then all the DNA was transferred 10 minutes later. 10 minutes later, okay? So the next day, I'm sorry, 4 hours later on the same day, they went out and got a refrigerator and then put everything in the new thermostat, read 40 degrees. So within approximately, I would say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4.5 hours, they moved everything twice, and the new temperature reading was 40 degrees. Now, I don't know what temperature the DNA needs to be stored at, but this is just going by the reports and what it was said. And then it says no DNA was stored in the evidence refrigerator. Those were stored in the evidence freezer. Below is a list of the items affected that were being stored in the evidence refrigerator. Now, this is a long list of all the blood swabs, the DNA cards, the wrist, the ankle, the hands, clipping, vagina, anal swabs, everything associated to the King Road address. Do you all remember when they demolished the house? This refrigerator went out on 1/30/2025. But thank God somebody hopefully has some backup DNA, because they're supposed to, by law, keep it for so long. So that just seems to me a little sus when you got DNA that could have been destroyed. And they never said if it was ruined, just that it was affected, not how it was specifically affected. But hopefully somebody does have the DNA strands by the lab for the 3 unidentified males and 1 female. So there you have it. Do you think Bryan Kohberger beat the system without a trial by taking the plea deal and will be exonerated? Type a yes or no. And make sure to hit subscribe, like, thumbs up, leave your DNA. I like that one. Leave more DNA than anyone else did at this crime scene on the thumbs up. Now that we have all the evidence, well, not all, some coming out after sentencing, what do you think will come next? An appeal, post-conviction relief, or will we never hear about Kohberger again? What are your thoughts? Drop them below, like and follow. And as always, be well. Phoenix out.
This ain't no ordinary stream. From the ashes, Phoenix talks manifest in a dream.